Hey guys, so this is actually going to be a four-topic talking vlog. That's right, so sit back, relax, tab over, get a snack or a drink. This may be a long one. So, the four topics I want to talk about are actually four TV shows. Or four, some of them aren't only TV shows, some of them are just media conglomerates. So, the first topic I'm going to be talking about is a show called Denki-gai. Denki-gai no Honya-san. And then we're going to be talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion. Then we're going to be talking about Curb Your Enthusiasm. And then we're going to be talking about my rewatch of Mekakucity Actors. So let's get started. I'm going to jump right in. I'm not going to talk about what we're talking about yet fully. I'm just going to give you what I'm to talk about now. I'm going to go right into it. Okay, so Denki-gai no Honya-san, I'm going to be referring to Denki-gai as short, is an anime. I actually found this show. I was randomly bored one day, and it was on Crunchyroll, and I'm like, wow, this show's 12 episodes, and the animation looks decent from the poster and from the animation style. I can't really tell the fluidity of the animation yet. Style from the poster looks really, like, a little bit enticing, and the show's only 12 episodes, and I'll give it a shot. And good thing I did give it a shot. It's a hilarious anime comedy. And it revolves around this group of... it also has a lot of really, really strong drama in there, too. It revolves around this group of friends that work at this manga. Specifically, I think it's... I'm not sure if it's specifically hentai, or it sells other types of manga, though. And light novel store in Japan. Some city, I think it's called Electric Town or something. I don't know if it's a real place or not. I doubt it. It's probably fictional. But it's a great portrayal into the otaku culture. So and you don't need to be an otaku to watch this, but it will really help, like being familiarized with what the genres are, what it's like, what the people involved are like. Like, if you know me, Zach, Alberta, we're hardcore otaku, so yeah, and you're probably an otaku if you're watching this vlog for this long. Unless you're just really interested in looking to in a person's life that isn't like yourself. What's called this show is quite remarkable in a way that all the characters are extremely relatable. Like, I feel like if I took the Force Sword in Legend of Zelda and divided myself into multiple bodies, these characters would be my personalities. Like, and I'm not really sure who my favorite character is. I really like the they're not boss, but like guy that runs their little area. He's pretty cool. Sensei, she's pretty cool. There's a lot of great characters, and but overall, it's a really, really amazing show. So, I mean, there's not much more to say about it. And the animation is great. There's really good drama elements, and yeah. So, I would highly recommend watching it, even whether you're an anime fan or not. It is really a great introduction into the otaku culture. Because it's not only about anime, it's about video games, visual novels, light novels, porn. I mean, it's about a lot of things. So, and it's really about the relationships within the characters. So, definitely check it out. Great characters, great story, really good show. I gave it a 9 out of 10 on my anime list. So, yeah. Okay, next down the list we have Neon Genesis Evangelion. The entire franchise, called the entire media conglomerate, is called Evangelion, so I'm going to refer to it as Evangelion. Everyone's heard of this show. I mean, it's part of pop culture. It's an anime. It's surprisingly part of pop culture because it seems very niche in its presentation and characters, but surprisingly, it's very heavy in pop culture. Like, not only in Japan, like. This has been an explosion in Japan. It's had the same impact as probably as like Seinfeld and The Simpsons have had in America. Neon Genesis Evangelion was the show that pretty much brought character goods as like a staple, otaku culture as well as just popular culture to Japan. Like in America, we had character goods before. Like we had action figures, we had like merchandise and stuff like that. In Japan, that wasn't really heard of until Neon Genesis Evangelion. So, Evangelion, it's very hard to talk about. I didn't want to talk about it yet because I wanted to talk about it after I consumed every possible form of media that I planned on consuming in the franchise. And so far I've watched the entire show, all 26 episodes, and the end of Evangelion, the movie, which is a retelling of the last 2 episodes of the show. I have not yet watched the Rebuild trilogy, which seemed to be a quadrilogy. I plan on watching the Rebuild trilogy, and a lot of my complaints with the show will having to do in the prospect of not having seen the Rebuild trilogy. I do not plan on reading the manga, and I do not plan on watching the Death and Rebirth movie. So, Neon Genesis Evangelion follows a bland protagonist named Shinji Ikari on his journey. He is estranged from his father, and he gets sent to this secret government agency to pilot this mech entity called an Evangelion. And there's 3 models, 4 I think by the end of the show. And they are used to pilot to fight these alien creatures known as the Angels that are coming to Earth and attacking. So, simplistic sci-fi plot from that premise. I wish it stayed that way, because it becomes so convoluted and so it starts off an amazing show, and it slowly degrades into such convoluted and such pretentiousness with its morals and ambiguity and everything. The last 2 episodes are pretty much unwatchable random clips of scenes that make no contextual sense. And as a Neon Genesis Evangelion, the entire conglomerate is considered a classic in fiction. And I just don't see that. As a former English major and a frequent fictional critic and analyst, I have to say that I was not blown away by the show. It's still decent from its episodes 1 through 24. If I had to put that together, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. That's an average score. And I take it back. 6 and 5 are really average. 7 is a little bit above average. I'd say above average. And it was good. It was great. They got some great characters, like Asuka is one of my favorite characters ever. Even though it's in a not so great show, Asuka's an amazing character. Rei's okay. Some of these characters are really good. I don't remember her name. The caretaker of Shinji. She's pretty interesting and has a lot of development. But overall, my problems with the show come from the last 2 episodes, as well as the overall feel of the story. How it starts off tremendous and gets really, really amazing, and by the time you get to episodes 25 and 6, you just don't want to be watching the show anymore. So, final verdict. The show Neon Genesis Evangelion was quite a disappointment. I mean, just wrapping things up. I mean, I gave it a 6 out of 10, which is average to me. 6 out of 10 is average score. I mean, it was amazing for a while, and then it got pretty bad. Pretty brutal to watch at the end. Asuka's an amazing character, kind of redeemed the show for me. She's hilarious. She's great, and she's also psychologically deep. Has some deep psychological issues, which is always really interesting in a character. Anyway, on to the end of Evangelion. Quickly as possible. Half of it was amazing. The first half of the movie was completely redeeming the show for me, saying, holy shit, this is the perfect ending to the show. Second half of the movie went into deep, weird, mental, Christian, psychological, religious, pretentious crap that I couldn't possibly understand unless I was a deep, heavy, philosophical, religious analyst. I mean, it was disappointing again. All I'm going to say, give that a 6-2. I'm really looking forward to the rebuilds, because hopefully, I've heard that the rebuilds fix these problems, and I'm looking forward to watching them, and if I watch them before the vlog ends, I'll definitely talk about them. But, on to show number 3, Curb Your Enthusiasm. On a completely different note, this is not an anime at all. Far from it. It's perhaps the most un-anime show I've ever seen. Curb Your Enthusiasm is a show about the life and times, just it's a day in a life, slice of life show about Larry David, who is one of the co-creators of Curb Your Enthusiasm. I mean, one of the co-creators of Seinfeld, along with Jerry Seinfeld. Larry David is an interesting guy, and some of it's based on his life, some of it's not. It's just a hilarious comedy all the way through. And I've watched all 8 seasons now. Curb Your Enthusiasm has become my favorite non-anime TV show. And I'm going to explain to you why. The comedy is genius. There is not a bad episode in this show. Every episode is so hilarious. Every episode is completely... It's like, for a comedy, it's genius plots. I call it an epic comedy just because of the sheer situations he gets himself into and his escape ways. And there's surprisingly a lot of chase scenes and stuff for his show. But, Larry David is an amazing character. He's so funny and yet so out of touch with reality. He thinks he's always right. And there's all these other great side characters, like Cheryl's hilarious. There's Richard Lewis, there's Funkhauser, there's Leron later in the later seasons. There's so many amazing characters. My favorite character is Jeff, though. He's hilarious. There's Susie. Can't forget the show without Susie. There's a lot. Yeah. But what's it called? Curb Your Enthusiasm is really... What a great show. I mean, there is definitely a lot of Jewish culture in it, and particularly New Yorker Jewish culture and LA Jewish culture. And if you're not familiarized with those cultures, or you can still watch it without being familiar with the cultures, but there's a lot of inside jokes that you may not understand, and there's a lot of references and dialogue and stuff that you may not understand. But it's definitely like a great show if you're into that New York Jewish culture like I am. But other than that, it's phenomenal. It's probably the best writing I've ever seen in a TV show, other than Mekakucity Actors. But it's a completely different type of writing. This is comedic writing. Just the writing is so genius. And I feel like the fact that the writing is so, clever, the thing that's clever about it is that the writing is only the scenarios. All of the majority of the dialogue, there's a beginning, middle, and end that we need to get to in each conversation. And all of the dialogue from in between that is completely improvised. And I find that remarkable how they can do this completely improvised and have amazing, amazing dialogue. But, other than that, it's one of my favorite shows, but I gotta keep on moving on this track here. Finally, we got my rewatch of Mekakucity Actors. I rewatched Mekakucity Actors with Zach and Alberto for a commentary that we're doing for Zach's channel, and I have to say I enjoyed it even more the second time. It is, if you didn't know, my number 2 favorite show of all time. If I could do ties, I would probably be tied with Gurren Lagann as my number 1 favorite show. But it is, I can't really do ties with my favorite shows, so it is definitely, it's number 2. Kagerou Project Media Conglomerate is my favorite thing ever. I love it so much. All the music and the books, the manga, the show. My favorite thing ever. It's just some of the best writing, some of the best fictional work of all time. In my opinion, the story of the Kagerou Project is the overall technical best fictional story ever told. And Mekakucity Actors' second time was even more better, because this time I noticed a ton of stuff that I didn't remember happened in the show, a lot of details about the characters, a lot of new things that I didn't see the first time, especially since we're watching on the Blu-ray. There was a lot of new things, and I feel like it gave me a new perspective on the show, despite knowing so much about it. I feel a lot more comfortable with the second viewing it. I fully grasp and understand the plot, and these characters will if I did a top 10 fictional character list, I feel like Shintaro, Azami, Ayano, maybe even Mary this time around will be on that list. And that's just fictional characters of all time. That's including literature and everything. But even so, Mary has actually rised up on the character list. She was like a 4 or 5, 5th place for me. She's number 2 next to Ayano. So I'd say my top 5 characters. Hold on a second. My top 4 characters would be Azami, Shintaro, Azami, Mary, Ayano. I'd say at this point. Mary's actually might be even tied. Some characters went up in the ranks, some characters went lower. Like, I did not like Seto at all before I watched it the second time, and I love Seto now. He's a great character. Hibiya stayed the same. I don't really like Hibiya as a character, even though he goes through a lot of shit. Konohana is pretty boring, too. But, I noticed a lot more, and it didn't feel as rushed the second time. For me, I felt the ending was a little rushed the first time I watched it, but the second time, it didn't feel as rushed. I felt like since I felt a little more comfortable with the source material, and I felt I understood what was going on a lot more, I felt the ending wasn't actually rushed. And because that flaw a little bit it's still a tiny bit rushed, because that flaw got pretty much fixed in my eyes, I consider it a flawless masterpiece. And definitely 100%, 10 out of 10. Probably my favorite, here much probably my favorite thing ever. Homestuck might be close, though. I don't know. But anyway, that's going to wrap up this talking vlog. I covered a lot of topics. I know I covered Denki-gai, Evangelion, Korean Enthusiasm, and my rewatch of Mekakucity Actors. So, if you say it through all of this, great for you. I'm going to put timestamps in the description. So, if I remember to, I may not. You can never trust me on that. So, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow, if not Friday.